everyone! Welcome to my third t-shirt haul for JCLU Forever. If you don't know what JCLU Forever stands for, it stands for Jesus Christ Loves You Forever. And they are a totally rad Christian women's t-shirt making company. I definitely encourage you guys to go check out their Facebook page and their website if you get a chance. Their Facebook page is just so amazing because it has this huge community who encourage each other and pray for each other and share stories about just their personal testimonies and things they're going through, their favorite Bible characters. I mean, they're a Christian women's t-shirt making company, so their main focus is, fashion evangelism, but I think it's just so neat. Their t-shirts, they look really, really stylish. However, the picture doesn't detract from the message on the shirt. The shirt that I'm wearing right now is their Precious Daughter shirt, which is about the True Love Waits campaign. And they currently have the shirt out in a V-neck form, but that's not the one that I'm wearing. It says, "Precious daughter, your heart should be so lost in God that a man needs to seek him first in order to find you." And it says, "P.S. Remember, True Love Waits." If you guys want to learn more about what True Love Waits is and what it stands for, you can go to lifeway.com/TLW. And it gives all sorts of really amazing facts, insights, forms, ceremonies, videos, just all sorts of insight about what True Love Waits is. But basically, a small rundown is that it challenges teenagers and college students to make a commitment to sexual abstinence until marriage. I think that in today's world, a lot of the youth, the college students, middle school, high school, they all seem to lose touch with God's idea of what marriage is supposed to be. I read this quote that said that the average girl believes that sex on the third date is typical. I discovered that the average age a woman has sex is 17, and a woman has, on average, 4 sexual partners in her lifetime. And I mean, a lot of people think that true love is just something that comes out of fairy tales, that it doesn't exist anymore, that in order to find the right person, you need to have sex with numerous partners and date numerous people in order to find the one that you're most compatible with. But I completely disagree with that. I mean, I honestly believe that you can get to know somebody just by being friends with them. You don't have to bring all of the dating and sex stuff into the relationship. If God has a person in mind for you, then He will bring that person into your life when the time is right. When I was in youth group my freshman year in high school, one of the youth pastor's friends said that she dated a bunch of really, really crummy guys when she was younger, and eventually she just got so fed up. She's like, "God, why are you giving me these complete losers?" And so she decided, you know what, let's make a list of all the criteria that I'm looking for in a future husband. And it was so neat because she said that years later, God gave her a guy who matched every single criteria on her list. And so I decided that I was going to go home and I was going to make a list of all the criteria I was looking for in a future husband. But unfortunately, I just saw the new Pride and Prejudice movie with Keira Knightley, and so I based all the criteria off of Mr. Darcy. I wasn't allowed to date until I was 16 years old. And at the time I discovered this, I was 11, and I was like, oh man, I'm 11 and 16 is so far away, I can't wait that long to finally get to date someone. I remember waiting and waiting and waiting and being like, I like this guy, but I can't do anything about it. And it was so frustrating. And I would hear story after story about how my friends would be dating this guy and dating this guy, and they kissed this guy and they kissed that guy. And I had never been kissed before. And I had this huge fairy tale notion up in my head about what I wanted my first kiss to be like. And I remember the day that I finally turned 16, I realized, holy cow, I can finally date someone, I'm so excited. But then it hit me that I wasn't really interested in anyone enough to date. I ended up waiting until I was 18 until I actually ended up going on my first official date. And that date wasn't all it was cracked up to be. In fact, it was completely horrible. Like, just completely turned me off towards the idea of dating for another 2 years. I never understood why it was working out for me the way it was. I started wondering, am I too ugly? Do the guys not want to date me? What's going on? And I remember just being at such a crossroads about all of this that I went back over my list and, I revised it to criteria I was really looking for. No more Mr. Darcy stuff. I wanted someone who God wanted for me. And so I offered it to God again. So I just said, God, please just keep me from dating until the right person comes into my life. It was neat because almost exactly a year later, I ended up going on a date with the most amazing person I have ever met. And I mean, it was so cool the way that he worked it out, because this person I had been friends with for a couple years, and I wasn't attracted to him at first, which I'm actually kind of thankful about, because if I was, I wouldn't have been able to be myself. I would have been nervous and jittery and trying to impress him, and he was just such a cool person, and I was able to be myself around him, and I wasn't afraid to speak my mind, and we had so much in common. I ended up sharing my first kiss with this guy, He hadn't been kissed before either. He was 25, I was 20, neither of us had been kissed, neither of us had been in a relationship, and it was just so neat to see how God worked that out. And it was neat because the next morning, whenever I woke up, I was thinking about it, and I was like, wow, it hit me. I was like, this, wow, because years before, when I was daydreaming about what I wanted my first kiss to be, I wanted it to be at night, outside with my best friend, and I wanted him to have never been kissed before, and I wanted pictures or a video or something to document the occasion. And it was just so cool because it was outside at night with my best friend who had never been kissed before, and we got photo booth pictures to document the occasion of our first date. I had this idea about what I wanted all of that to be like, and it turned out to be like that. However, it was completely beyond my expectations in every single way. My story is a story that even Jane Austen would have been jealous of. It was from God, and God wrote my love story. I'm not saying that this is the person that I'm going to spend the rest of my life with, because honestly, I have no idea. However, I can honestly say that for a first relationship, for a first kiss, God has blessed us so amazingly, because we are still together, and this relationship not only draws us closer to each other, but it brings us closer to God as well. You know, some of us may have no idea who God wants us to marry. I know that if God doesn't have my boyfriend in mind for me to marry, then he has someone even better out there for me. And even though it's sad to think that, you know, my boyfriend may not be around all the time, it's encouraging to know that someone else will, and that someone will be even better than I can possibly imagine. For the challenge, I read in this book, which is the Girls Ministry Idea book by Jimmy Davis. It had this really amazing idea in it called the True Love Waits Prayer Journal. It talks about how keeping a journal of prayers for that person will help a girl guard her heart and help her keep her thoughts pure in her teen years. And God will answer the prayers in protecting that person, keeping him pure, and preparing him to be the husband and parent he needs to be in the future. And journaling prayers will guide a girl in setting standards for dating. I've been journaling since I was in 8th grade. I have this entire box filled to the brim with journals, after journals, after journals. This is the current journal I'm working on. It's journal number 20. Not only is it so cool to be able to look back through these journals and see how much God has changed me and who I was then versus who I am now, I mean, I just think it would be so cool to be able to give these journals to my husband on our wedding night and just say, I prayed for you. If God would have given me all the guys that I asked for in the past, I probably would have dated at least over 150 guys by now. And I'm just so glad that God was like, yeah, I know you wanted to date him, and I know you wanted to get your first kiss from him, but I have something better in mind for you. I truly believe that he has the best in mind for all of us, and that when we wait till marriage to have sex, then we know for a fact that God is blessing us, because, you know, we put his standards first instead of the world's standards. So yeah, that's my challenge to you guys. Just write down prayers about your future husband. If you're already married, I encourage you to keep a prayer journal for your children. My mom, she has been praying for my brother and my sister and I ever since we were born, and she's also been praying for our future spouses. My sister is happily married, and her husband is the person my mom had been praying for. She didn't know him at the time, but she just prayed that my sister would find the right person when the time was right and that he would take good care of her, and he is. And my mom, when my brother was born, she prayed for his future wife. She didn't know who she was, and my brother is now happily married, and that's just amazing. And my mom too, she's been praying for me ever since I was born, and I know that my mom is praying for my future husband as well, whoever he may be. And so, if you're already married, pray for your children. If you don't have children, pray for your nieces, your nephews. Definitely do this challenge. Just journal your prayers, journal your thoughts, because you would be so amazed to see how God can communicate. So, I will see you guys in 2 weeks. Alright, ciao.